There she is. How are you, Meredith?
Hi, Rick. So good to see you.
It's always good to see you. And it's especially good to see you today because we have an important conversation to have.
Ooh.
Um, this is our second episode of Asking for a Friend. We have quite a few questions that listeners and designers have submitted. And as I review the questions, I'm like, who can I talk to about this that will have a great perspective? Because listen, I have an opinion on everything, but I feel like everyone's heard it. So I like, dragging my friends into the mix so that we can kind of hopefully deliver a balanced opinion. And you were the first one that came to mind when this topic came up. So the question that we received is, how do I say no to a client who really wants to work with me but is not a fit? Asking for a friend.
Did I send that in or no?
Was that you, Meredith? Okay, I see it's coming for full circle.
It's hard, right? I mean, so I've been in business for a little over 4 years, and I don't know if I'll ever get to the point where it's like easy to say no, right? Like somebody's
Absolutely.
literally willing to spend money on a service of mine, and here I am going to tell them no. I think it's really important to first of all, take a step back and understand, like, why is this not a fit? Why are you looking to say no? I have 5 points that I think of when I'm deciding how to price and if I'm going to move forward with a client. And I'll
Mhm.
super quickly explain those. The first one is, are you kind? And I know it sounds really silly, but that is absolutely positively a deal breaker, non-negotiable for me. Not sure if you know, construction and renovation and stressful. It is going to hit the fan, excuse me, for lack of better words. And
Yeah.
I need to make sure that you are going to be kind and gracious. We're still going to work our butts off. We're still going to admit if maybe we made the mistake, or think of a solution if someone else has made a mistake, but I need you to be kind. Where are
Yes.
you located in relation to literally my home? So is this a 2-minute drive or a 2-hour drive? So that's something I think about. Neither are deal breakers. That's, again, am I going to say yes or no to you? Where are you located in relation to other projects that I want? So if you're 2 minutes from my house, you're actually probably not an area that I want to continue to serve in, versus maybe a waterfront community 20 minutes away in Madison, Connecticut.
Right.
I'm located in Connecticut. What's your budget? So maybe it is a 2-hour drive, but you want to furnish one room for $90,000. Again, I'm pulling that out of the sky, but what your budget's important. And then your aesthetic. So am I going to be,
Yes.
one, am I going to have fun? Am I going to be good at it? And then, like, am I even going to be photographing it? So all of those kind of play into my yes or no. So back to some mystery person's question on how do you say no to a client. There have been times, in fact, just recently, I had a lady that had reached out maybe 6 months ago, wasn't sure if she wanted to work with me, kind of went silent for a bit, came back into the picture, was so excited. And she was just asking questions after seeing my
Mm.
contract that, Rick, she wasn't mean, she wasn't a bad person. They were great questions. But to me, they red flagged a little bit that, like, we are just not going to work well together. So I went back to her and just said, hey, the way in which you are looking to design your home is not the way in which we do our best work. And for that reason, I don't think I'll be a fit for your project.
Yeah.
And she replied, I'm devastated. And then she almost, like, really did try and get me to change my mind, for lack of better words. And I have thought about her. I really have. But the
Right.
questions she asked, like, I love to go shopping. Do we go shopping together? Just because somebody asks that doesn't mean they're a bad person or not a fit. But, like, okay, you're asking, so you probably want to. And I don't shop with my clients.
Right.
Um, Another thing that she mentioned was her father was an attorney. So she had a lot of questions on the contract. And she's like, my dad would be so angry if I didn't ask these questions. Again, not a bad person. Just because you ask questions about a contract doesn't mean you're a no client. But that was another, like, okay, no offense to any attorneys listening, but sometimes you're a little more difficult.
Right.
I didn't want that. Her budget was quite low. And it wasn't a scope that we traditionally would work on, though I was interested in kind of hearing more. So I kind of give you a ramble there, but I think that just explaining that It's not, Rick, you are not wrong. It's a me thing. The way in which we work is, I just don't think you're going to be happy with the end product. And we want our clients to, of course, love working with
Sure.
us.
Yeah, I think you said a lot of important things there. And I think the synopsis is, for designers, the most important thing to know is how you operate, to really understand and know how you operate best and how you're going to deliver that top level service and how you're going to deliver that end product that's representative of your brand and your portfolio. And if the client doesn't align with that, it is a no, and that's okay. I'm glad you said it. Doesn't make them a bad person. Just because their dad's an attorney doesn't make them a bad client. It's just a red flag for you. Like, if push comes to shove, do I want to have this legal conversation? Some designers are up to the task, some are not, you
Yeah.
know?
And I think too, I've sometimes, like, when I get influencers reaching out, I think that
Mhm.
sometimes, again, it doesn't mean you would be a bad client. I think it's just another thing to, like, sort of kind of have your radar up. And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, for me and my business and my family, um, I don't work well in situations that I'm not happy in. And
Yeah.
that goes back to just being kind. I'm really, really bad at faking that I like you, that I'm happy, that this is working. There's really no amount of money that I would work with somebody that I don't think is a fit. And I just want to clarify that just because you're not a fit for House of Huck, I'm not saying that person is even a red flag or a bad person or a bad client. It just wouldn't mesh well. And I think when you kind of put it back almost on yourself, like, hi,
Mhm.
Mr. and Mrs. Client, you, I don't even know if I'd specify, like, you mentioned you want to go shopping. We don't go shopping, because then I think they could come back and say, oh,
They
well,
can
we
say,
don't
fine,
have.
let's not go shopping.
Yeah. It just, I think some of the things that we had discussed about, I would not be the best fit. And I hope y'all listening have girlfriends and guy friends in the area that are designers that like, and trust also, that maybe you can recommend, because almost every time I go back and say we're not a fit, I'd say, but I'd be more than happy to recommend someone to you. And sometimes they do reach out to me, and I've also had them then reach out to that designer, and then that designer come back to me and thank me. So,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
what's a fit for you might not be a fit for me, and vice versa.
And that was one of the things that I was going to say, and that I always tell designers when they ask this question is, just because they're not a fit for you doesn't mean they're not a fit for design. I think designers have to be comfortable telling these prospective clients, listen, I may not be able to do it for you within these parameters, but there's dozens of other designers that can. What may be a red flag for you may be a dream job for someone else. And so
Totally.
it's just about kind of redirecting them. It's always nice to come at it with a no, but
Yeah.
no, I can't do it for you, but I know a designer who might be a better fit for you. And I think you'll be in good hands if you guys are able to work this out. Um, yeah. And you know what else too, that I always tell people, and I've kind of changed my approach to this, because I used to always tell designers, well, it takes time. You'll get comfortable saying no. And you kind of said it at the beginning as well. You mentioned that, listen, I've only been doing this for, what did you say, 4 years?
Mhm.
And so I'm learning how to say no. But I know how you operate and I know how you do business. You're very efficient, you're very streamlined, your process is not negotiable. And so I think that with that in mind, you're like, you've got to fly my way, or it's a no. It's
Yeah.
as simple as that.
Kind of also, believe it or not, the opposite of what the question was, how do you say no? I also kind of want to empower people to say yes, if you want to jobs that might not fit your traditional scope. And
Hmm.
maybe, hear me out, you just don't talk about them. So, for example, I had a designer recently that reached out, was like, Meredith, I want to do new builds. And I keep getting requests for paint consultations. Like, help me. So I took just a hot second and I looked through her social media, and I was like, well, shoot, I'd reach out to you for a paint consult too. That's all you talk about. That's all you, right? That's all you put out there. So as a consumer, I think that's all you do. So similarly, I'm not saying I actually do have one project right now that nobody knows about, because it really, like, it was close to my house. It was a good enough budget, not my aesthetic. The person was nice, not in an area I want to be in. I don't want to tell you about it. So I accepted the job. It's putting money in the bank. I'm just not talking about it. So I think just as quickly as you can say no to a job that doesn't fit what you want to, I also would empower others to, like, hey, you can also say yes to, if you have 5 custom new builds at once,
Mhm.
and you want to take on a primary bathroom, go on with your bad self, do it. Like
Yeah.
sometimes I think also those little jobs, and I say air quotes just because like square footage wise they're little, but there's still a lot of effort. Sometimes those little jobs are nice because they just like, they pay the payroll, right? They pay the overhead. They are a quicker turnover as well.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm
because I
actually glad that you brought that up because one of the things that I was going to say is I was going to kind of place some emphasis on protecting your joy and protecting your team. So when you say no, you have to, it's not just from you, it's from your business's perspective. It's on behalf of your team, it's on behalf of your brand. You really have to protect your joy. And when you think of it big picture like that, it might be a little easier to deliver that no. But to your point, also, sometimes protecting your joy means I've got 5 new builds happening right now, and they are all my team's in charge of all of those. I want something that I can place my hands on and actually design. So I'm going to take that small job and I'm going to own it because it's protecting my creative joy. So it's interesting that you bring that up because it is a two-way street.
Well, I think, I do want to put my tail between my legs here. I had, this is a spring recording, and in the fall, so about 6 months ago, I had 3 very, very large projects, in my opinion. I had a 9,000 square foot reno and furniture job, a 10,000 square foot new build and furniture job, and then another 9,000 square foot reno and furniture job.
You were
So
busy.
that was 6 months ago. I lost one of the 9,000 square foot renos. We parted ways. Very, very lovely people. It was not a fit for sure. And I lost the 10,000 square foot new build as well. They paid the deposit. We were getting ready for the design presentation. They just decided they wanted to be more involved. That's not how I run my process. I said, again, if you're feeling this isn't working, I completely respect your decision. And that was that. So I
Yeah.
went from being, oh my gosh, so busy to, oh my gosh, crickets, because all the jobs in the fall that I was quoting, I was over quoting because I was so busy. I share that because I did take a little bathroom on, and it was a lot of darn fun. Just to, again, just to like keep the momentum moving. To your point, to keep the creativity going, to pay the
Yeah.
bills, for lack of better words. It's not a nonprofit.
Let me
So
ask you this, without diving too deep into those other 2 projects that ended up not being a fit, what type of questions, because I know every experience is a lesson for you. I know that about you. And I know that you analyze the hell out of everything. And so, what questions did you not ask that you will be asking moving forward? What did you learn from those 2 projects that fell out?
yeah, so I think it was less of what questions did I not ask, and what answers did I not listen to.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I would say with the I'm just going to speak of them in the 9,000 and the 10,000 to differentiate the 9,000 square foot reno and furniture job. That was, I heard they wanted to start, they were purchasing a new home in a month, closing, and they wanted to start construction right away
Mhm.
with no design and no selections and no builder. And like, so I think I should have slowed down. And oddly enough, I actually got that job as a referral from another designer
Oh,
that couldn't handle their timeline. But
mhm.
I saw, and we all do it,
Sure.
for 9,000 square feet in furniture, it's
Yeah,
just me and a designer on my team. That's it. That would be a payday.
sure.
I think I didn't hear those red flags.
Mm,
I, um, I reiterated the process that we do over and over and over and over, the approval process. I need everything approved before we move into the next phase because the design is cohesive versus I approve that millwork and that chair, but I want to see some more options in the bathroom. And can we move forward with purchasing here? No, we need to finish one phase before we get to the next.
right.
Then I think for that new build, again, we had a discovery call. I sent the contract. I got the deposit. No questions asked. And I think that I should have slowed down there to just
Mm,
further clarify how we operate. They had started framing
right.
about our design completed. So again, less of what I should have asked and more what I should have just listened to.
Interesting. Very interesting. Well, I'm glad you brought up referring clients to other, designers, but I also think too one of the things that I wrote down to kind of emphasize is the delivery. And you mentioned that earlier as well. Like we're not just saying no and hanging up. Like you said, Make it about you. It's
Yeah.
much easier to deliver that way. People talk about the sandwich, start with something nice, then tell them the reality, and then end with something nice and make a sandwich out of it. There's so many different approaches. But I do think that, I've heard other designers say that their approach is kind of like, I wouldn't want to disappoint you or embarrass myself. I've heard variations of that, which I think is really effective because you're telling the client, I don't want to disappoint you. And I think that based on what your expectations are and how I deliver my products and services, I may disappoint you. And
Yeah.
I don't want to embarrass myself because I'm very proud of my business. I work very hard for it. And I know what I do best. And, it's just not a fit.
I think so something I get a lot of the time. I actually just got it and I've said I don't think we're a fit and they ended up saying okay, fine. But some people the word just, oh, I just need, and then they list what they need.
Red flag.
I just need the tile and the plumbing fixtures and the color of the paint in the bathroom. And I'm like, hold on one second. You just need that. But what you don't understand is how are we laying the tile? What's the thickness of the grout joint? What's your tile termination point? What material are you using? How are you laying the tile? How is the tile meeting the stone? So if you just need tile, I promise you, I will still just get questions from your builder on everything I just said. So
Yeah.
it's not, I had somebody reach out saying they need just the color palette of the home, that being the cabinetry stains and paint, the floor stains, the countertop, the paint on the walls. And I thought to myself, yeah, but like what color are you painting the walls in your office is dependent on what the wallpaper and the ceiling is going to be. And the wallpaper and the ceiling is going to be dependent on the light fix. Like every action, what is it? Every action has a reaction. I don't know. Stop
Sure.
trying to be all philosophical, Meredith. But all of these decisions impact one another.
Absolutely.
So when you get somebody who just needs this,
Mhm.
I think thinking twice is probably a smart avenue. But I do just want to reiterate, listen to me. I just want to reiterate. Sometimes you're new. Sometimes business is slow. Sometimes you really need to make payroll next month. And
Of
it's
course.
okay. It is okay to take the job that you don't want. I hate to say it. I don't do that often.
Yeah.
And again, the kindness thing is a deal breaker for me. But I do have like a little, we'll call it a community that we meet once a month and we just chat, open floor, whatever you want to talk about. And it like makes me sad that so many designers feel like they can't do something because everyone else is telling them they can't do that. Like I would never buy retail. I don't think that's a smart business move. But maybe you want to.
Sure.
And go for it.
Yeah. So again, I really think it comes down to knowing like your business model and how you want to operate and whether or not it's a fit. And I also think I was just thinking, and I know it's going to be easy for me to say because I no longer design, I'm no longer client facing. So I no longer have to have these conversations. So it's going to be really easy for me right now to say it. It might be more difficult in practice, but coming from a place of informing your client and educating them. So going back to what you just said about, I just need XYZ. That's telling you that you're not a fit right off the bat. So I'm going to say no to you and I'm going to tell you that we're not a fit, but I'm going to kind of tell you why. I'm just going to educate you on the reality of how design works and the number of questions that are really going to come our way that you're going to need your design professional for, really in an effort to help you select the right designer going forward. I may not be a fit for you, but there's a designer out there for you. And as you continue your search, these are some of the things that maybe you should voice or questions you should ask to make sure that the next designer in line really is a fit, or that they really understand what you're looking for and that your expectations align. Like setting them up makes it so much easier to deliver that no.
I think a lot of it is education. And I always say, and you do such a good job of this, so many of my girlfriends do, is like we use social media for the business, right? To get out there and expand and grow and all the things. And I do find we have a very high conversion rate from lead to contract signing, to moving forward. And I don't think that's because of anything I do from the time the lead comes in to the time that the contract is signed. I think it's because of what I do before. People aren't finding House of Huck that wouldn't like to work with House of Huck. People aren't really finding House of Huck that just,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it never happens, but just want a paint consult or just want, because I'm continuously educating the mass on my
Yes.
social media. So the 47th time you've seen me, you know, like, and trust me. And I think personalities also, I don't get clients that I don't get along with, or I dread that they're texting me. Or in the beginning, my beginning years, the first 2 years of business, I didn't even give my phone number out because I didn't have that like stop gate. But
Yeah.
now that I've figured out how to attract people that I would like the people that wouldn't, there are plenty of people in this world that probably wouldn't like House of Huck or me. They're not finding me. They're not landing on my page. They're not staying on my page. And I think that's important too. You talk about educating. Maybe I would challenge somebody who's getting a lot of those, I just need 3 pieces of furniture. Maybe go on social and just educate a random, in your stories or your reels or IG live or whatever, your static posts, on why it's so important to do a cohesive design, why documents are so important. Have some fun with it, right? It's supposed to be fun. We're not in corporate.
Yeah, exactly. I will also say this. You do a really good job at being yourself on social media.
Thank you.
The Meredith that I met day one, you were still that exact same person. You haven't changed one bit. You showed me who you were the first time we spoke, and you've been consistent throughout. And I think you do a really good job at doing that for your business. And I think that's why the people that come to you are pretty good fits from a personality perspective, because you've shown them who you are. And I think designers have to put that out there as well. Because what makes me nervous, and what I don't know from this question, is what is it that makes this client not a fit? They didn't elaborate on what it is. And I wrote down, are they a nightmare or is it budget? Because those are two different conversations. But going back to your point about you got to be nice, like that is a deal breaker. Like that's an immediate no. Protect yourself, protect your team. If they are just not nice, and I've been client facing with some not so much
stories.
And I've seen it firsthand. I wasn't always able to say no. When I was in charge of my own business, I was able to, but for a long time, the partnership was such that I was not able to say no, and I wish I could have. Don't do that to yourself.
Well, most of us left a corporate life. Not everyone, I get that, but like most of us left that grind, left that hustle. I just, again, you do you. If you want to work with mean people, go on with your bad self. But like, why leave that only to be at someone's beck and call, or be like talked to? Some of the stuff, I mean, you're on, I'm sure, these Facebook groups. Some of the stuff I see designers saying, oh my gosh, look at the email my client just sent me. I'm like, how did they make it through your process? Like, my sweet husband, Jim, who he's a chameleon. He could handle somebody being mean to him. I can't. Nope. I'm all good. Thank you.
And I'm glad you said that, because there are a lot of designers that have very thick skin and their threshold is different than ours. I think you and I are on the same page. Like, I don't know. I'm nice. And I like working with nice people.
And I'll work hard for you. And, my hours are 9 to 4, Monday through Friday. And yes, I have been on a call. I will never forget the one with the neon. If you follow us on social, I got an email, a very stern email from that owner of that house at 9:30 at night, which was not like him. We had a call at 10:30 at night, Meredith. Wow. But because something was confused. I could tell he needed to speak, and I'm a business owner and I can make my own decisions. And I decided that email at that time did warrant a call. And he was like, thank you so much. We had a range that was coming over from France, and he thought, and she thought, and all the things, miscommunication from the appliance vendor. And I wanted to do right by them. They are so wonderful and so kind, and they've spent a lot of money with House of Huck. I made the business decision that I was going to have that phone call at 10:30 at night.
Right.
But that's not the norm, right? So I don't want people to think that I don't work hard for my clients.
Yeah.
But they respect me like I respect them.
Exactly. They've respected your boundaries. They respect you as a professional. All the things, they check all the boxes. So when it comes time to make an exception, it's kind of a no-brainer.
Yeah. Or how about, I know now I'm rambling, but the client, I had an inquiry recently, and I proposed a date and time. We do our discovery calls on Wednesdays. And I said, anytime Wednesday between 9 and 12, whatever. And she said, oh, I work full time. How's it, like, Sunday at 2 o'clock would be better. And I responded very kindly in so many words. I also work full time, and
Yes.
these are my business hours. Again,
Yes.
didn't say it that brash, but
Right.
this is my job.
Mhm.
So those are the hours. If those hours don't work now for a discovery call, they're not going to work in June when we're building your foundation. So
Well said. They're showing you who they are right now. Listen.
yep, yep.
Meredith, I knew you'd have a lot to share. I knew you'd have tons of tips and advice. And I hope that we answered this question for the person that submitted it. I think, kind of to recap, you know, how to say no is really just in the delivery, really understand your process and how you work and what your business model is. And, respect that and expect that in return. And if there's not a connection, just deliver it in such a way to where you're being professional about it, you're not being petty about it. I think as long as you're saying no in a well thought out and considered manner, they're going to receive it the right way.
Can I say one more thing on that?
100%.
Never, ever, ever have me on without booking like 15 minutes extra. I do want to stress, though, a suggestion. So lying or trying to ease the no, I actually think is a horrible idea. I would give you an example of, hey, Rick, we would love the opportunity to work with you, but we are booked solid. So I don't think this is going to be a fit. And then Rick comes back and is like, no problem, we'll wait for you. Or if you went to Rick and said, hey, Rick, I thank you so much for reaching out. I don't think this is going to be a fit because your budget's too low. Again, if that's not the reason.
Sure.
And then Rick comes back and says, oh, well, we really want to work with you. So
I'll
we'll
double it.
Budget. Like,
Yep.
If you don't want to work with this person, don't, again, say you're booked right now, because at some point you're not going to be, and they might want to work with you and we'll wait. So,
Yes.
Make sure how you are articulating why you don't want to move forward with them. Again, you can keep it vague. I just think the way in which we work, you're going to be disappointed and we're not going to give our best work. I'd love to recommend ABC Design to you. They'd be fantastic, and all the best.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that. And I was kind of thinking that, but see, that's why we tag team this, because I knew Meredith would say it. And I've been in that situation before too, where we're like, oh my God, this client's a nightmare. This is never going to work. Let's just tell them that the budget's too small. And they're like, no problem. We'll double it. We'll triple it. You may find yourself in a situation where money is no object. And then what do you do? So I agree with you 100%. Just lead with reality. It's the best thing for you and for the client, for them to really know why.
Yeah, keep it vague and offer a solution. To your point, what is it? The compliment sandwich, you said, right?
Right.
Positive,
Exactly.
negative, and then positive again.
Exactly. Hit it off on a high note. Well, Meredith, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your perspective, which I always trust and value. Super excited to see you in High Point in a few weeks. You're going to be on an amazing panel with me. So everyone that's listening to this right now, get ready to see more of us in just a few short weeks.
So excited. Rick, I'll see you then, okay?
That's going to be amazing. And everyone, if you have a question that you want to ask for a friend, go ahead and submit it on Instagram. You can DM me. Everybody knows how to reach me from the website. You can submit your question there, and we'll be happy to address it. And I will rope in an expert just like Meredith over here to help us. Thanks so much, Meredith.